Hi book besties, Shreeni here. I'm back after a short break. We'll be talking about books that can get you out of a reading slump today. So I have few books that I'll recommend to you guys. I'm sure these will help you to start reading again, get into reading, or get you out of a reading slump. So I have 5 books here today to recommend to you guys. I'm not going to talk about genres or which type of a book that is, because it can get a little bit intimidating when you think about genres, which one to pick up. So it's easier that we go by the book instead of the genre. I assure you, these are not intimidating at all. Regardless of the size or if the book is chunkier or not, you will definitely enjoy these books, I promise you. So if you are in a reading slump currently, I can feel what you're going through, because this month I have kind of been in a reading slump. I have been reading books, but I'm not interested in my TBR. I think mainly because I have more fantasy in my TBR this month. And guys, I have to be honest with you. I started this book called Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and I really wanted to at least finish half of the book within a week, but I'm struggling, guys. I don't think I can finish that book in a month because it's really time consuming. Like, it takes all of your brain power to understand the world building. It is so complicated. A lot of politics, which I don't really enjoy at the moment in the book, because I'm just still in early stages, and it's good. It will keep you hooked to the book, but it gets really monotonous and boring, in my opinion, in some chapters. So when I hit those pages, I almost don't want to proceed further. But I really want to finish a Brandon Sanderson book, because there are so many other his books I want to try. So I understand the concept of a reading slump. It's not that you don't feel like picking up a book, don't enjoy the process of reading, which is really sad. The books I'm going to recommend to you guys today are really fast paced. Like, this book is chunkier, as you can see, but this is really fast paced. You won't even feel like you are going through the pages. You want to get into the next chapter as soon as possible, so that you get to the end like faster, and you will not feel like you are really reading a book. You will be immersed in this story, I can guarantee you that. And that will be our first book. So this is Nobody's Fool by Harlan Coben. If you remember this TV show called Fool Me Once, it's one of my favorite shows. I watched it 4 times. I watched it twice on my own, watched it with my husband, and then I watched it with my mom. It's that good, in my opinion. I anyway love thriller, mysteries, detective type story. I think they are really easy to read and very fast paced, so that you enjoy the reading experience more. Fool Me Once is also based on one of the Harlan Coben's books. I haven't read the book yet. I want to read it since I've loved the show very much. And this is sort of a sequel to Fool Me Once. So this book is based on Sammy Keyes, who was a detective in Fool Me Once. So this is Sammy Keyes' story. You don't have to read the book or watch the show in order to understand this one. This can be read as a standalone. The author gives us a background story before we start the book, so it's easy to understand Sammy Keyes' story. Sammy is married now. He has a son, and even though his personal life is thriving and he's happy, his professional life is crumbling down. He is no longer a detective. He's now working for a private company as a private investigator. Sammy has this secret. When he was a teenager, he goes on a backpacking trip to Europe, and in one of the countries he stayed in, he met this girl randomly at a club, and they connect with each other and they really like each other, so they spend a few weeks together. One day Sammy wakes up next to this girl with a knife in his hand, and the girl is covered in blood. Sammy runs away from the scene, and what happened haunts him throughout his life. Now he is in his 40s. This girl is back in his life, who he thought was dead. Let me tell you, this was a 5-star read for me. I'm not going to read all the books I'm going to recommend to you guys today, but you guys must read this book. It is so good. The way Harlan Coben writes. I haven't read many Harlan Coben's books. This is the first book I've picked up, but I wanted to read Fool Me Once since I love the show. I'll be buying all Harlan Coben's books, because the way he writes is not, even though it's a crime related detective, like investigation sort of a book, it's not eerie or dark. He brings out the light, and he brings out this playfulness, mischief, or very witty humor into the book, which I love. I love his writing style, and this book talks about a potential crime and very unfortunate incidents in not only Sammy's life, but so many other people that are involved in this incident as well, which is a very sad situation to be in. But author finds humor in that and makes us laugh. This is a very enjoyable book. So you can never be in a reading slump once you pick this. The second one I'm going to recommend to you guys is a classic read. But please don't be intimidated by the name of the book, because I know how it feels to pick up a classic when you are in a reading slump. That's unheard of. No one would do that. I understand that fact, but you have to trust me on this. This is my second favorite book of this author. You can take a guess what is my first one is when I tell you who the author is. So this is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So my favorite Jane Austen book is Pride and Prejudice. That is I think my most favorite book of all time. I know it's a big statement, but I fell in love with classics after reading that book. I have annotated that book so much, and it's tattered and torn. I can't even hold the pages together. So Sense and Sensibility, even though it can get really a bit difficult to go through the chapters because of the language, the narration, this may not feel familiar to you when you start reading the book, but I can assure you the story is so good, you would want to reach to the end. You will not give up on this. I read the synopsis for you. The Dashwood sisters, the 19-year-old Eleanor and Marianne, age 17, are left poor and homeless by their father's death. Although kind relatives provide a roof over their heads, one way out of this misfortune is for both girls to marry well. Marianne and cautious Eleanor find themselves having to choose between passionate romance and observing the rules of polite society. Through risky lessons, misunderstandings, and illness, two very different individuals discover in their own ways that a mixture of sense and sensibility is the solution. Jane Austen is known for her writing that is based on women, those who create themselves or create an identity for themselves as they go through life. Like when you first start this book, you can clearly see these Dashwood sisters. They don't know who they are at first. What do they like in life? How do they want to be loved? But as you read the story, you will see how their identity, sense of belonging would form around them. And it's a very beautiful thing to witness. Although Jane Austen's, given the time that she was in, the time period, we don't get to see many intimate scenes in the books between couples. But that doesn't mean that this book lacks intimacy. If you pay very close attention to the dialogues between couples, you would annotate every line in this book. And even though it will be a bit hard to understand at first when you first start reading the book due to the language and the narration, once you get the sense of it, of the story, you would understand what is happening. So, in my opinion, it's not that hard to read a classic. You shouldn't be intimidated. If you decide to pick this book up and finish it, let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. So the next one is Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. You know how I feel about Agatha Christie. She's one of my favorite authors. This one is a very small book. This is only 250 pages. I'll read you the synopsis of the book. 10 strangers are invited to Soldier Island, an isolated rock off the Devon coast, cut off from the mainland, with their generous host mysteriously absent. They are each accused of a terrible crime. Then one of the party dies suddenly, and they realize there may be a murderer in their midst, a murderer who might strike again and again, and all the time copies of a nursery rhyme hang in each room, a nursery rhyme with an omen of death for all 10 of them. Agatha Christie's writing style is really unique. Throughout this book, you will be on the edge of the seat, waiting to turn the next page. This is also a very fast-paced book. You will not have any difficulty to go through the narration of the book. It's really easy to understand. Agatha Christie's writing style is really mysterious. She will not give away all the details about the characters at first to you. You will have to pay close attention to the characters if you want to figure out who has done it, basically at the end. But I can assure you, you will not be able to figure it out, because she hides the answer in the plain sight in a very clever manner. That's the brilliant writing of Agatha Christie. You will not get bored by reading this book. You will be hooked to this story and you will wish to have more than 250 pages of this. So the next one is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniscalco. So this book, you must have heard about this book, I think 2 years back. I didn't want to pick up this book thinking this would be too gory for my liking, but it was not. It wasn't hard to read with all the gory details, because as much as I want to avoid those horrid details about the performing surgeries or inspecting the body parts, I don't enjoy those details. But in this book, it wasn't that bad. You can tolerate those. I could tolerate these details. It's also a very fast-paced book, so if you are in a reading slump, this will definitely help you to keep your attention fixed on this story without wanting to close the book. This book is about Audrey Rose Wordsworth, who's a daughter of a lord. As you guys know, in that period of time, women weren't allowed to pursue higher education. So Audrey has to dress up like a boy in order to get into the class to study forensic medicine. She loves the tools that are used in forensic medicine, inspecting the body, dissecting the parts of the body. She loves those type of things. She won't be able to do it as a girl. So with the help of her uncle, she gets into this school and studies forensic medicine, takes classes. She's also really interested in uncovering of Jack the Ripper, and she helps police and all the investigations with her skills of forensic medicine, diagnosis and determining how the murder took place. This book is also sort of a tribute to Sherlock Holmes' style of writing, and I really enjoyed it because Sherlock Holmes series and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle writing is one of my favorite ever. To be honest, if I'm ever in a reading slump, that will be the first series I would pick up to read, because you couldn't be in a reading slump when you are holding one of the Sherlock Holmes books. If you do decide to pick this book up, and if you enjoy it, please let me know. So the last one is one of my favorite, The Case Book of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's only 277 pages. Why am I recommending this book to you guys if you are in a reading slump? Is because you will never get bored with these type of books. You will not have gaps in your thought stream to think about anything else when you are really occupied with this story. As you guys know, there are several Sherlock Holmes books. Each book contains different cases that Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson have investigated. So in this book we have 12 cases. This book got one of my favorite stories ever, that is The Adventure of the Sussex Vampire. I first read this story when I was a kid, and it both terrified me and made me really happy, because I love detective type stories. And it, as you guys know, most of Sherlock Holmes stories take place at night. They investigate, they do things, or they meet their clients at night. So it used to make me really scared. So I remember how I felt when I read this story for the first time. It never gets old. The stories, Sherlock Holmes, it never really has an expiration date, I think. If you have not read any of the Sherlock Holmes books, or if you feel intimidated by, or if you think you will be intimidated, that's why you haven't picked up any Sherlock Holmes books yet, please do. I promise you, the writing is not intimidating at all. It really is to understand, and the humor and the wit and banter Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes have are really priceless. You should read this, and let me know if you decide to pick up Sherlock Holmes, any of the Sherlock Holmes books. Let me know how you. So that's it for today, guys. I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye for now.